Wednesday evening, everybody, and what an interesting evening it has been. Let us know what you're doing, how you've been faring today, and how much snow you have on the ground where you live, where you work, wherever you've happened to be this afternoon and evening. It certainly was impressive. And Angel already with the question of the day here is Lucas County under a level 1 or 2 snow emergency. They were very briefly at a 2. They've come back down to a 1. And as luck would have it, and preparation would have it, I'm going to post this in the comments right now. See if I can get that. No. But we do actually have some snow emergencies, of course. We have level 2s in Erie, Ottawa, Sandusky, Seneca, and Wyandotte counties. Everyone else is under a level 1 except for Paulding, which has none, which is a little bit odd. Readily admit there, but that is what we are looking at here. Let's see if I can get this pasted. There we go. And I'm going to pin that. Pin comment. All right. Hopefully that takes care of some of the things. Sean Haggerty, will my work be canceled tomorrow? No. Come in here. Radar showing we do have... See, you got a laugh out of Haley and everybody on the other side of the room. But we do have that snow continuing, of course. It has been hazardous driving, and we will answer, or at least try to answer, that all-important question that many people are asking, some with a little bit more fire than others. What the heck happened? We are well aware here at the 13 First Alert Weather Team that we went into this event with a ½ to an inch as our call here in Toledo. Higher amounts east, granted, and yeah, that is still the call, but certainly everybody is well above where we did project them to be some 24 hours ago. Saying Huron County's under a level 2, getting that in the comments. Huron, okay. We will work to confirm that. Lots of people in the comments saying Huron County is under a level 2. Again, we are going to be working to confirm that. But again, everything else seems like as it stands. All of our folks back here have been just calling a lot of the sheriff's offices, keeping an eye on Facebook for all the ups and downs of these snow emergencies. Nobody's at a level 3. I want to emphasize that. Nobody's at a level 3, but we already have plenty of delays and closings out there. And you can see it not only on 13abc.com, but I'm looking right at it right now on 13ABC. So if you look on air, we've got the usual scroll bar, the school alerts and that. A lot of them are delayed 2 hours for tomorrow. We do have some closings, so want to emphasize that as well. Let me see, getting to some of these. Yeah, and saying the snow emergency levels there. Thank you, whoever is there on 13. Yes, some folks saying Defiance level 2, Huron County level 2. Again, we will be working to confirm that. Rochelle saying 5 inches in Rocky Ridge. Where did I see Andrew? 2 inches of snow in Monroeville. I can confirm 2.5 to 3 inches out in Holland. Gary saying latest reports coming out of Cleveland has Lucas County hitting around 3 inches. Yeah, why isn't Lucas County on my list? Sorry, we will put that on there. That was a copying error. I think I wanted to edit that at last check. Here we go. Okay, thank you for that one, Denise. Jill, do you think anyone will be at a level 3? I can't say that one for sure. I'm a little surprised that if they're not at it now, I'd be surprised if they were. But that was some of the worst driving out there, the most slow going of a commute I think we've had in some time, especially on the county roads out there. It was a lot of snow coming in at once. There was a deep layer of moisture. There was a decent amount of energy, of course, packed in with that, and the cold air. There are some, again, ins and outs on this one as well. Samantha saying level 2 in Lakeside. How much in Fremont? Well, I don't quite know that. I haven't gotten too many reports out that way, but we're going to launch right into this and keep sending in, keep chiming in for your comments. We'll get to them as I can, but for now, there we go. For radar, we are still looking at this over the last 6 hours, those winter weather advisories in Lenawee and Monroe counties, as well as some east of 75. That's it. We had a special weather statement, it's called, here in Lucas County. We technically were never under a winter weather advisory, but you can even see some of the pink being indicated out here, some winter storm warnings out there by Indiana. South Bend, yeah, they could actually be looking at some feet of snow. So I'm trying to go as high as 3 to 4 feet. That might be overdoing it, but this whole system has overdone itself. And you can see where that rain snow line is currently over by Pittsburgh. It's been a miserable day over there with just a cold rain, only now switching over to some snowflakes. So it is going to be wrapping up here in Toledo pretty shortly. Visibilities have already improved greatly since they were a short time ago. However, cold begets cold, and when you have snowpack like this, fresh fallen powder, it gets even colder. 18 in Toledo at this 9 o'clock hour, let's say 12 in Hillsdale. 13 was going to be our morning low. We might have to adjust that downward in the hours ahead. Spencer's saying, I just came in measuring from Findlay. We got 3 inches. Yes, that matches up pretty nicely. We got about 2.5 to 3 from my measurements here in Lucas County. I would imagine we're going to have many 2 to 3 inch readings as well. There's your visibilities. And at one point tonight, it was about 4:30 to 5 o'clock hours. Nobody was over a mile. In fact, everybody was under a mile. We had no 1 point anything. It's 1.7 currently in Toledo, but it was 0.0 showing up on this. That would indicate an 1/8 of a mile or less. You know, kind of the can't see my hand in front of my face kind of driving out there. 6 miles in Hillsdale, perfect 10s in Defiance, if that does give you an idea of where we're heading. So this snow very slowly clearing, but notice, even though we don't have a station out that way, a reporting station towards Sandusky, that is showing the visibility outright. That is where you're most likely to continue to have some of that snow falling overnight. So I want to emphasize that. That is still where your higher totals are going to be. All right, so we got 358 viewers of you on here. What happened today? We want to go back to 24 hours ago. This is when we had only a 1/2 inch to 1 inch here in Toledo, 1 to 2 inches east, 2 inches plus towards Erie and Huron counties. That's what our snow map had said. You can go back in some of our postings here. Again, we don't delete these out of shame or anything like that. This is a teachable moment, and we're trying to make it one as well. So yesterday, we were showing a lot of this moisture well ahead of the cold air that was actually coming through. That's why we were going to start as light rain, briefly switching over to some light snow. And you have what's called that lift, that mechanism. You know, think of how you get more rain on the windward side of a front, where it's sort of upsloping, it gets forced up that way. Well, that's more of a physical property, but same sort of thing happens along a cold front. You lift up that air, it starts to cool down, you get that whole mechanism going. This is what we've got today, because all those ingredients were separate. Because that low slowed down, all those ingredients, moisture, the cold air, and that lift combined right over us at the worst possible time. I will level with you, even the highest modeling earlier this morning had about 2 inches here in Toledo. So we were talking about this one in the early morning hours. We were up, we were texting each other in that and saying, you know what, I'm not sure if we trust this thing. This thing seems to be slowing down. We should probably take up these snow totals here. And we did. And then we started getting in around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. and that, and it became more apparent that you had those snow squall warnings out by Indiana. You had that incoming level of moisture catching up with that energy and that front. We're like, all right, no, we're going to pull the trigger on this first alert weather day. And, well, you certainly saw the end result. It still managed to punch above its weight class on this one. Let me see. Fostoria on level 2 and 2-hour delay for school tomorrow. That makes sense. We got plenty of those school delays. Wauseon just flashed across. Whiteford Agricultural, Wildwood Environmental Academy. Again, we have so many of these scrolling on the bottom of 13ABC right now, and we do have it on 13abc.com. Gary saying, friend of mine has to drive from Toledo to Fremont right now. Told her the roads were nightmarish. That's pretty much the long and short of it, right? The roadways were just bad. I had left work a little after 5 o'clock, so after the 4 o'clock show. And what normally would take me about 15 minutes to get home was about double. I had a pickup spin up just in front of us here. That was not a pleasant drive home. It was a little better at least coming back in about an hour ago here. But again, that was the end results. And this is what what our final call ended up being around the 4 o'clock hour of these 2 to 4 inch readings along 75. Again, we understand this was certainly not the call 24 hours ago. 4 to 6 inches out east. We have explained why this has happened, and both conventional wisdom and computer modeling would not have indicated this, did not indicate that we would have the event that we did. To say that it's frustrating as a forecaster as much as a viewer is an understatement, but I know you're busy folks, you got places to be. We had just tried to do our level best on this one. Very curious to see if those 1 to 2 inches hold. We might even have some higher than 2 inch amounts out west. That is what I think the bigger question is going to be. So Catherine's saying over 3 inches in Wyandotte County, closer to 4 inches. That does make sense, actually, with what we see there, Upper Sandusky and that. So, yeah, Wyandotte County. Still snowing in Attica. Kalida just had another big shot for about a 20-minute whiteout. You are going to have a few of those just off and on coming through. Tiffany, did you say South Bend might have 3 feet of snow? It's a very narrow band, so I can't say South Bend outright is. It could even be a county west of South Bend gets 1 to 2 more feet than South Bend actually does. So maybe perhaps I misspoke on that one, but it was an incredible amount of lake effect snow coming almost directly off of the lake from the north/northwest. And in fact, I'm just going to go back briefly to radar, show you what we're talking about. It's this very narrow band. You know what? It is driving right through South Bend. You can see it here. So I think you get, just based on this and the given rates, I think you might end with at least a foot in South Bend, possibly two or more at this rate. How fast that mechanism is actually going to shut off overnight, not showing too many signs of it. So that's the big thing. But again, back here in Northwest Ohio, we still have some bands working their way through where you're most likely to continue that lighter snow than we'd had earlier, but still light to moderate, certainly out by Erie and Huron counties into the early morning hours. We already have plenty of school delays in that. And working our way through, we're going to show you where we're heading on this one, because here's our snapshot right now. And basically, here's where we're going. This still has some of that lingering east of 75, a little more than what we even are showing right now. Granted, we're in a radar hole of sorts, and that really is pressed upon in Findlay, Lima, Upper Sandusky, where the lowest radar scan can still be some 5,000–6,000 feet above ground level. Lots can happen in the first mile of an atmosphere, right? And even earlier today, the lower level scans closer to Toledo were really showing us how deep or how heavy some of that snowfall rate was ending up being. Here we go through 5, 6, 7 in the morning. Sandusky, Norwalk still most likely to get, much like Lake Michigan is getting, more of that snow, but certainly not as much as South Bend is getting tonight. A lot of that's going to be shutting off gradually in the next hours to follow here. By noon tomorrow, not much of an issue, but you are still going to have some blowing and drifting. County roads, chances are still covered. All depends on how the plows get to it at this point. Cold sunshine, but sunshine all the same. Might actually help with some melting, but we're bottoming out. We had about 12 to 13 degrees. And then we're going to shift ahead here into Friday, because this is our next chance of some of that light snow. Right now, and I know there's some trust issues with us, just as we have some trust issues with our modeling and our line of thinking on this one for this particular event, but Friday morning, still showing some of that bleeding over to the early afternoon, starting to lighten up. Could still have some pockets of heavier snowfall even going into Saturday morning. That adds up to about an extra inch of flakes, inch to inch and a half. Isolated 2-inch pockets closer on to Hillsdale, Lenawee, and Monroe, our Michigan counties. Saturday, another one tries to come on through, but doesn't go out quite as far as this model would indicate. Still are looking at multiple clippers, including back on Friday here, by the way. What snow still is out there is not really going to be melting off all that much. We're going to have a high of only 23, 24 degrees for tomorrow. The southwest wind on Friday does usher in air about 33 degrees, barely above the freezing mark. Not going to do much for that snow, and if anything, it's just going to lead to more blowing and drifting thanks to those 30 to 35 mile per hour winds. So wrapping this up with a bow, we are continuing. We elected to continue this 13th First Alert Weather Day through tomorrow morning. It's already proving impactful on the schools for delays and closings there. Want to reiterate, they're scrolling on 13 ABC on air right now. You can catch that full list online. We're working to update those snow emergencies. 23 for your high tomorrow, 15 for the low on Friday morning, and yet that is the, maybe 5th warmest low, or I should say 5th coldest low that we've got for the foreseeable future. Now look at Friday, 33 degrees. You kick up that breeze again. Saturday, 28 and falling. We have another secondary front. We're in the single digits again, folks. We already have either 6 or 7, I know it's the meme, but 6 or 7 of those morning lows to our name in the single digits. Just 2 degrees waking up to on Tuesday morning. And if that breeze starts taking hold a little bit earlier in the day, you're going to get some of those wind chills easily around -10. So centered right around MLK Day, you have another clipper coming on through. That one, 1/2 inch to 1 inch of flakes we've been seeing right now. Tuesday, Wednesday, very much up in the air. Very slow warming trend going on as well. Next Friday into Saturday, I know, days 9 and 10. Those are always the most subject to change, but we are eyeing a couple more systems coming through just as we're trying to get above that freezing mark. We only really got one realistic shot at it on Friday, and even then, it is by 1 measly degree. A little over 3 in Onstead. Thank you for that one, Bill. John, did he just say, sorry, we're just guessing? No, we are doing our best on this one based on again, the training we have, the conventional wisdom, and what computer models are. We don't trust the raw output, what these are spitting out. We actually were going a little bit above even what they were, and then the bottom just dropped out, and we had that snow coming on through. If we do have any of the late joiners, just a bit of an extra, what the heck happened on this one? Moisture, cold air, and lift were acting as separate things, much separately, several dozen miles apart from each other as of yesterday. That's why we only went a ½ inch to an inch here in Toledo, 2 inches plus east of 75. Today, that low slowed down. It allowed the other ingredients to catch up right over northwest Ohio and parts of southeast Michigan. Let's see, is Elizabeth, the snow done on the Michigan-Ohio line? It is really starting to wrap up out there. I can tell you even the visibilities are really improving as far as along and west of 75. You are going to have a couple of bands perhaps still redeveloping and coming through. I don't think nearly as bad as socked in as what we were earlier today. Shout out to Derek Witt and Storm Tracker earlier today as well, along with our photojournalist Chris Henderson. They were out in Storm Tracker and just on some of the just terrible roads out there, especially in the county. Derek was outside getting pelted all day with a smile on his face with all the snow pellets and then eventually just pretty large flakes. I'm looking at some of our levels right now, and those level 2s are essentially lined up all east of 75, along and west under level 1s. So just want to come back to that as well. Gary saying, you guys aren't the only ones the weather decided to do its own thing on. That winter storm warning for South Bend has that at a foot max unless they updated it since I looked at it. Yeah, the raw totals had 3 to 4 inches. I think it's probably going to be closer, feet, excuse me. Yes, we're talking in feet there. I would say 1 to 2, especially a 2 if that one does not shut off overnight. Heather, those 2 British guys in Michigan sure are getting a crash course in Midwest winters. I'd seen some of their videos there. Oh man, how much can you actually prepare somebody for that, right? JD, how are you doing today? What is the weather for Canton, Ohio tomorrow morning? You are going to still deal with some of this going on through into Canton. Right now, you still have that. Looks like it got replaced with Perry, Ohio there, but that is essentially where Canton is. A lot of that's starting to lighten up, coming back through. You're still going to have a few more hours of snow to go. You do have that winter weather advisory going on right now, and prepare for cold. You are still going to have lows between 10 to 15 degrees out that way, and both hands on the wheel sort of situation. Cindy, how much snow did you say for Friday? We're going with up to an inch in Toledo right now, isolated 2-inch pockets in our Michigan counties. So right now, not as much as we got today. We're certainly hoping that was a one-off as far as the, I can hardly say the perfect storm, but it certainly was annoying from a forecasting perspective. Brad saying Defiance is a level 2. We've had a lot of people saying Defiance is level 2. Yes, and that is as of 9:30, so I am going to check that. Thank you, everybody. Level 2, we are going to go back. Defiance, all right. Sorry, just editing the pinned post for those coming on in. And I am suddenly realizing I have 12 minutes until I am on Action News at 10. Good thing I got all my ducks in a row there, but thank you so much for watching. I know Jay had hopped on a couple of hours ago. We wanted to give you lay of the land. We know this has become the story of the day, even if it wasn't the one we had going into this. So thank you for your patience as well. I know it's, throw the tomatoes at the Weatherman Day. I get it. It feels like such a miss, and even going back into it, we're going, how the heck did this happen? We have our answer. But a lot of times, it's not how you were wrong, it's that you were wrong. We understand it, we take our lumps, we learn from it, and we do try to move on, especially because we do have more snow on the way, coming in Friday and Saturday, a couple of separate light rounds, Monday perhaps as well, and that is in the center of that bitter cold Arctic air. Not that tomorrow's any slouch either. We're already 18 out there. I can tell you with shoveling the snow, as light as it was, there are some icy patches. That rain from earlier in some cases has frozen over and is a little bit slippery. So you do have some refreeze out there. Again, take it easy if you're going to be shoveling tonight, tomorrow, whenever, and just stay safe as best as you can. So thank you very much, everybody. On behalf of myself, the entire 13 First Alert Weather team, going to keep you safe for as much as you can, as long as we can. We'll have the call again on Action News at 10 on CW, Buckeye Channel 5. Check your local listings. Chief meteorologist here in that title, Jay Birschbach, will have the call on Action News at 11 on 13 ABC, on which we do have those school alerts scrolling at the bottom of the screen if you are so inclined. Take care, everybody.